Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman29, and I just wanted to come on and make a video about some stuff that has been bugging me. And some Christians might not like hearing this, but I'm gonna do it anyways because you're gonna be able to learn something from it, maybe. And there might be some strong language that's accidentally used. And I know I have a lot of really nice Christian subscribers here, and I really appreciate you watching the videos. Might not agree with everything I say, and this might be one of the videos. However, this is also constructive criticism for atheists also, who end up debating fundamentalists, and fundamentalists who end up debating atheists. And with everything that's been going on as of late, I find it really interesting on some of the stuff that I've seen. I myself have come from a fundamentalist family. I was brought up that way, however I have left. And coming from that, being so far to the right, I refuse to let myself be swung so far to the left where I just reject anything and everything, and which would allow me to be not look at things as fairly and as critically from both sides. So I stopped in the middle. I still like to cling to the term theist, even though I can't even look at that critically. So what I'm going to do here, and what I found watching some of these videos and listening to people, and even people running up to me and trying to explain something to me, is that a lot of times, due to the push of anti-intellectualism in general that has been forced and pushed in the fundamentalist movement, has really been a disservice to fundamentalists in holding back on the very means that you're going to need to debate. And same for atheists, not being able to view in a different light abstract expressionism and metaphors and religion and how that's composed, and just dismissing it as delusions and fables, even though it could possibly in today's society be defined as such, without even knowing its construction. So there's a lack of something on both sides, and from the middle, that's what I see. So I'm just going to give an example on how to successfully debate a fundamentalist. And fundamentalists, this is something you need to think about. An atheist, this is something you need to think about. What I'm finding is that people lack tons of knowledge about history. And so, say for example, if I were to debate somebody on whether the rapture or something like that would be true or not, and they would come up to me with Bible verses that support that, number one, I would ask, where did your ideas of the rapture start? Where did you hear that information? Also, when did it first start in the culture? And when did the ideas first spring up in the society? And what was going on at that time when that happened? And the texts that you're using, who are they written to? Who are they written by? What translation is it? And where does that come from? Because a lot of times, Christians don't know any of this. And it's very disappointing. Then, I would say, are there other areas in mythology, other religious material, where the same idea is found, and how did they work through that? And I find also that fundamentalists have zero knowledge of anthropology, or if they do, I mean, you go to ministerial or training of pastors. They may get maybe a half a semester on anthropology. That's terrible, and they can't even look at it critically. And the best book that's out there for defending anything is the terrible book, in my opinion, um, Evidence That Demands a Verdict. Uh, they don't get into textual criticism of the text. They don't look at the many different texts that there are, and how we don't even have copies of the copies of the copies of the originals, and that there's probably more variances in the text than there are words in the New Testament. It's just mind-boggling. And I think that maybe atheists, when they debate fundamentalists, are asking the wrong questions, because fundamentalists aren't gonna look at science critically as atheists do. They're not going to have as a deep understanding of science, or maybe of points of view of atheists, and vice versa. Atheists at times lack a lot of these ideas about religion and how the metaphor is constructed. How do you get rituals? How do you get abstract expressionism? Where does it come from? These are the questions that seriously need to be asked by both sides. And if we can logically step through it, see how it's composed, we may save ourselves tons of time, even though initially in the beginning it's painstakingly long, a lot of studying, a lot of look at theology, different points of views, different religions, different mythologies, different belief systems, and how they transform and change. And unfortunately, there's nothing out there where all that is centralized. And if atheists are going to debate, they need to educate themselves on all this stuff. Church history, church splits. Why did these ideas cause problems for societies? Because if the Christians don't know in a debate, you're going to be able to tell them, and it's going to make them look like dumbasses. And Christians, if you don't want to look like dumbasses, you're going to need to know. You're going to need to know. So I would suggest, I don't know, it's mind-boggling that even when I talk to some ministers, they have no knowledge of some, especially in Protestant evangelicals movements, they have very little or no knowledge of Greek or Hebrew, or where that stuff comes from. And even if they did, they just use it in their passages and sermons to sound fancy. And like, oh, the Greek word for this is this. Well, so what? What's that do for a person? And they have no idea on the construction of Hebrew literature. They have no idea on construction of literature from Hinduism and Buddhism. It's all dismissed as unimportant, which really bothers me, because these types of systems have been worked out and thought out. And if we can go back and look at some of this stuff, maybe we don't need to reinvent the wheel every single time we have a debate, because we can say, hey, why do you believe in the Trinity? And they might give you a cheesy answer, or they might give you a good answer. If they say, well, I believe in the Trinity because of this. And if you say, well, where did the idea of the Trinity first start? And you say, well, maybe, I don't know. And you tell them, well, Augustine started the ideas of the Trinity. Augustine started the ideas of original sin. And if you tell them, at least in their minds, they might go look at it, and maybe we might get someplace. And also in the process, you might be able to learn something on how belief systems are composed and put together and change over time, and its effect on society, rather than it's all positive or all negative. And also, abstract expressionism is beyond even the definition of religion and established social systems and micro trends that come through. You got art, you got dance, you got music. All that is an expression of a person's way to, in a small, feeble way, to try to get across to somebody else the experience they had when they caught a small glimpse of the unexplained, and maybe they didn't know how to express it quite right, and they're even frustrated with themselves that other people don't understand what they're saying. And that's just what I want to get out there. I become very frustrated at people's lack of knowledge of literature. Maybe you're not into that stuff. But I'm just saying, if you're going to debate it, I don't know everything. I'm still learning, and my ideas change all the time. And as I find out new things, my ideas change. And I've even changed my ideas on some comments that I've gotten, and even critical comments have been very helpful. Because I don't believe that people should always think one way all the time. And so that's just some of my concerns. I think that if the RRS could build such a database where people could get educated on the different church splits and different types of theologies, and look at some of that and be able to answer that rather than just running to the Skeptic's Annotated Bible. To me, the Annotated Skeptic's Bible is the cheesiest form of although it's fast. It's fast and convenient, but however, fast and convenient might do a disservice later because it's there, but we don't know why it's there. The differences are there, but we don't know why it's there. The criticism is there, but we don't know why it's there. We need to know why. We need to step one step further on everything and look at it and come to some, go through the steps and come to some kind of conclusion on how it even got there, and then in turn we can do something about it. We can push on, and we can figure it out, and we can duke it out, and we can have the battle. However, with the lack of understanding, a lot of the times, I know everybody's not going to be a brilliant scholar. I don't expect that, and I know some people are just in the religion because they feel that maybe they need to be, or that's where their place in life is, and that's where they found meaning in life is, and they don't really care about all the scholarship. However, if you're going to step into the debate, I would think you need to know that. And a lot of people, they come on and debate, and they quote all these people, and they have all these ideas, and they never list their sources, where they got their ideas from. I usually try to do that. I know probably I don't do that as much as I should, but at least I try to throw a few links in there, so if anybody would like to take a look at the stuff and see what I'm saying, and maybe even go further and add something or point out something, which I find really interesting. So I don't know, just some thoughts there, YouTubers. Take care of yourself and each other, and remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.